This video, we're going to cover what we covered in class for sections 8.5 and 8.6. If you look on page 423 in your textbook, right in the middle of the page, you will see that there is a definition. It says a scatter plot is a graph that shows the relationship between two sets of data. To make a scatter plot, simply graph the data in ordered pairs. So in number 1 here, this is a scatter plot. And then number 2, in order to find the answers for those, look on page 425 in your textbook and you'll see pictures of a positive correlation where it goes up and to the right, a negative correlation where it goes down to the right, and then no correlation where they're just kind of spread out. So look at the pictures on page 425 and then in number 2, circle positive, negative, or no. Okay. This one is a negative correlation because it's going down to the right. This one, there is no correlation because they're just kind of all over the place. And then this one is a positive correlation. Now, because you weren't actually in class when we did this, you couldn't do the scatter plot using the Skittles or the M&Ms. So we'll move on to number 4. It says a history teacher asked her students how many hours of sleep they had the night before the test. The data shows the number of hours the students slept and their score on the exam. Plot the data in the scatter plot. So 8 and 83. So we go up 8 and then here's 85. We're going to be below that. So right about there. And then 7 and 86. 7 and 74. 8 and 88. And so go ahead and pause the video and finish those off, those last few, and then come back to the video. Okay, you should have finished these off. We have 6 and 76, 5 and 63, 7 and a 90, 4 and 60, 9 and 89, 7 and 81. So this is a scatter plot, and you can see there's roughly a positive correlation, but it is a rough positive correlation. Now, if you were just given this graph, and I ask you questions like, how many students slept 7 hours? Well, what you would do would be go up the 7-hour column and count the dots. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them slept 7 hours. How many made below 70 on the test? Well, here's 70. So how many dots are below that? There are 2. So there are 2 that did that. How many slept 9 hours? And that would be there's only 1 on the 9-hour mark. Let's say how many made a B, an A or B, assuming we have the same grading scale that anything 80 and above is an A or a B. Here's an 80. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that made an A or a B. And so that's how you do a scatter plot. Now, what we did in class was actually apply this to a specific example. And we did kind of a little experiment with wingspan, which is arm span, the distance between fingertip to fingertip, and height. And so I have the data, which let me pause the video and put that in. Okay, and so this is the data that we had. What we did was we measured everybody from fingertip to fingertip and then measured their height. And so we have their wingspan and their height, and we're going to graph this. Now, in class, I had already gone through and done the labeling. What I found was that there were 25 across here, and I figured we would probably top out at 75. So 75 divided by 25 is 3. So each of these is going to represent 3. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and I'm just doing every other one here. 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36, 39, 42, 45, 48, 51. And again, I'm doing every other one. And the reason why I'm doing that is because it was very tight down at the bottom to write each number individually. 51, 54, 57, 60, 63, 66, 69. Then we had 72 and 75. And then along the top, I went the same. So 3, 6, 9. And these you could actually do 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36, 39, 42. And I think I wrote these on yours already. 48, 51, 54, 57, 60, 63, 66, 69, 72, and 75. So we're going to plot these points. So we have 59 and 58. So we're going to go to 59 on the bottom. So here's 57. So 59 is going to be about right there. And then I want to go up to 58. So here's 57. So 58 is going to be right there. Erased more than I wanted to there. Um, 57 and 61. So up this line to 61. Here's 60. Here's 61. 68 and 72. So here's 69. So 68 is going to be just below that, and 72 is up here. And then 67, there's 63, 66, so 67 is just on the other side of that, up to 68, which is going to be just below 69. 60, 57, this would be 60 right here, and going up to 65. I lost track of where it was. Going up. 63 is here, 68 or 66 is up there, so that would be that. 69 and 66 is right here. 68 and 68 is right there. These two right here are almost right on top of each other. 66 and 64. So here's 66. Here's 63. 64 would be right there. 66 and 67. Would be right there. And then 60 and 61. Here's 60, so here's 61. So it's all kind of clumped up together. So ignore this. This is just my recorder. I needed to take a screenshot because I needed to move over to here where I could get a line tool. Number one, in the analysis section, what type of correlation is showing here? This is a positive correlation. They're roughly going up and to the right. And then now using a straight edge, we want to draw a trend line. The line should go through 2 points already graphed. The line should follow the general trend, so it should go up and to the right. The line should have about as many points on above and below it. So we had 10 points, so we should, and two of them we're going to use in the line. So we should have roughly 4 above and below. And the line should be close to the data. So I'm going to switch to my line tool here and then pick up this. And I'm going to see if I can make it thinner. Maybe a little too thin. Well, I guess, okay, so I want to hit 2 points. So there's me hitting 1. What if I hit that one there and that one? Actually, I hit 3. I hit 1 right here, and right here. And then I also want to extend that line down below the x-axis. Okay, so I've done that. Nope, I want it that color. Let me get back to my pen tool. Extend the line and find the y-axis. Mine is hitting right at 3. Depending on where your dots are graphed and how you did the trend line, yours may not hit right at 3. That's fine. And actually, truthfully, I think this trend line is maybe a little bit off because you can see here above the line, there's a bigger gap between the points than below the line. So I think maybe I should have shifted it up a little bit higher. So let me see if I can do that. No, I think I like it where it was. So I'm going to go back to here and keep that 3. Okay, so now we have our y-intercept, which is 3. We're going to find the slope using the 2 points that we hit. So we hit this one right here, which is 66 or 67 and something. It's 67, 68. And I got that. I can see it right here. That's this point right here. And then the other point I hit is this one right here, which is just below 60, which is this one, 59, 58. And again, your points may be different. And so my difference is -10 between those two and negative for some reason I can't subtract right now, -8 here. So my slope is -10 over -8, which is going to reduce to 5/4. So y equals, m is my slope, 5/4 x plus my y-intercept of 3. So then using that equation, predict the height of a person that's 50 inches. So we have 5/4 times 50 x plus 3. And again, your equation here may be different. I let them use a calculator on this because it's kind of ugly depending on what you have there. So 5 times 5 divided by 4, that's that 5/4 times, oh, that should be 50. Not 5. Where'd my pen go? 50. So I get 62.5 plus 3 would be 65.5. Another option when you're doing these is if the trend line is already graphed for you and you don't have the equation, what you can do is then say, okay, use the trend line. I can go up at 51 or at 50 until I hit my trend line. And then once I hit my trend line, go across from that and see what you end up with. I ended up with somewhere around 53. which is different than my actual calculated amount. Um, Let me show you that on this. Okay, I drew a trend line on this one, and this is one where you actually could not um, do the y-intercept because it's actually below 0. It's a negative number. It's somewhere down here, and our graph doesn't extend that far. So let's show you using the trend line. What if somebody got 5.5 hours sleep? According to this trend line, what would their grade be? So here's 5.5. And then once we hit the line, we go over from where we hit the line until there. So the y value or the vertical value would be like 68 about. And so that's how you do that. And that's what we covered for lessons 8.5 and 8.6 in class.